very key. That's wild. This is
wild.
This is a wild shift. Taking the words right out of my mouth. We're talking about a 44-point shift amongst those who are extremely motivated to turn out and vote. These are the types of numbers that blue waves are made of.
So that was CNN. So we're seeing a 44% shift from younger voters who voted for President Trump. Now they're shifting and they're planning to vote for a Democrat. And so we should be focusing on this because these are younger voters. These voters are energized. They're showing that they want change. They want something different. And so let's go ahead and take a look at some more of this clip. Here we go.
Younger voters are fed up and they want change. That is one of the takeaways from the new CNN polling just out this morning. And is also something that Harry Enton has been tracking all year. And he is here with us right now.
Hey, I am here.
And excited. Woo! How big is this shift?
Yeah, I mean, we are talking about an absolutely huge shift. A 180. Young voters are fed up and they're taking their anger out on President Trump. We'll start off there. Take a look here. Voters under the age of 50 on Trump. In the fall of 2024, Kamala Harris led in our polling by just 3 points. Look at where Donald Trump is. He was within 3 points of Kamala Harris. Now his net approval rating on the year and the average of CNN polling, look at that, minus 41 points.
Wow.
That is a shift of 38 points away from the President of the United States. He is falling through the floor. If you look at the trend line among voters over the age of 50 or 50 and older, the shift that we've seen amongst them against President Trump is less than half that. In fact, it's under a 15-point shift. So the reason why President Trump is so unpopular at this point is the shift among younger voters, those under the age of 50, your Gen Z, your millennials. They gave President Trump a little bit of a try in 2024. No longer. He is down there, right there underneath the ocean floor.
And I would argue that the young voters, that's what pushed President Trump over the top. He's saying they gave him a try. You had a lot of young voters that did vote for President Trump. And I think that was a surprise. So you had a lot of pollsters that didn't anticipate these young voters going out the way that they did and voting for Trump. And that is why back in 2024, we saw some of the polls were off. But when we looked at the prediction market actually predicted that President Trump would win. Because generally with the prediction markets, you have a younger crowd that's participating in the prediction markets. So if we are seeing a shift with younger voters, that is really bad news for Republicans.
How does that translate to when you're looking at Congress?
Yeah, okay. So obviously President Trump is not on the ballot this year. But if you're a Republican in Congress and you think you're going to escape the unpopularity that President Trump has amongst younger voters, you got another thing coming, because just take a look at these shifts. Okay, in the fall of 2024, the choice for House margin, Democrats were leading amongst those under the age of 50 by 4 points. Look at that lead now, though. Look at that lead now. It's more than 4 times that, a double-digit shift. Their lead is now 17 points. Look at those 50 and older. Look at that. Republicans led by 8. They now lead by 6. Basically the same. The reason why Democrats have been able to jump out to this lead in Congress, the reason why that they are likely to take back the U.S. House of Representatives is not older voters. The key game that has shifted here, the key play that has shifted here is younger voters. Those under the age of 50 are taking out their anger, it seems to me, that they have against President Trump. They're going to take it out against Republicans in Congress this fall. This is a titanic type of shift away from the Republican Party and to the Democratic Party.
A generally believed predictor, of course, in how things will pan out is the enthusiasm gap, if you will. So the most motivated voters, the people most excited or most, excited to turn out in the midterms. How is this looking?
Yeah, younger voters are as excited to turn out for this midterm as I am. Every single morning I appear with you as I bam off the screen, to quote Emeril Lagasse. And these are bam numbers. I mean, look at this. Voters under the age of 50, the choice for the House, among the extremely motivated. You know, you go back to the fall of 2024, Democrats only had a 2-point lead amongst them. Look at this lead now in the 2026 average. It's a 46-point advantage among the voters who are most likely to turn out, because midterm elections have lower turnout than presidential years. The extremely motivated is a very key. This is wild. This is a wild shift. Taking the words right out of my mouth. We're talking about a 44-point shift amongst those who are extremely motivated to turn out and vote. These are the types of numbers that blue waves are made of. And if there is a blue wave come November, it will be because of voters under the age of 50, younger voters who gave Republicans and President Trump a try in 2024. They are doing a 180 and they're saying, you know what, we're going back to Team blue, at least in the polling we see so far.
So far, it's good to see you here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And so there it is. When we're talking about young voters, it looks like young voters are shifting. And that could explain what's going on in Texas. You have Tallarico. He's a young candidate. He has people who are energized to get out and vote for him. And so we could see when we're talking, and we've talked about Texas, we've talked about North Carolina, Maine, Iowa, Ohio, Alaska. We've talked about a lot of these different states. And we are seeing that the Democrats, the candidates that are running in the Democratic Party, they're doing well in the polls in these states. And remember, the states that we're talking about here, these are Republican states. These are red states. And these are states that President Trump won. And in some of these states, President Trump won by double digits. But now we're seeing that shift. And the reason that we're seeing that shift is because younger voters have changed their mind. Younger voters who voted for President Trump are now saying, you know, we're going to give Democrats a shot to see what they can do. So I want to make a quick pitch here. If you guys are liking the content on my channel, make sure you go over and join my Substack. It's free. And on my Substack, you're going to get articles that are based on some of the videos that I've posted, as well as every video that I post on YouTube, I also post it on Substack, and Substack will send you an email notification so you'll never miss any of my videos. Link is in the description. And when we start looking at the Senate map, we look at the House map. We know in the House, Democrats need to net 3 seats in order to take back control of the House. So it's likely that Democrats will be able to do that, especially if we're seeing young voters energizing, young voters out voting. But when it comes to the Senate, yes, it's going to be a lot harder, but Democrats still have a pathway. And it appears the reason why Democrats have a pathway is because of these young voters. And so just starting, if we start with Democrats and independents at 47 or Republicans at 53, Democrats need to net 4 seats in order to take back control of the Senate. And we have the Fetterman effect, so they might even need to net 5 seats in order to take back control of the Senate. But looking at this, if we start looking at some of these different states and look at the different candidates, and in Texas, that's the first state that we can look at, Tallarico is doing really well. The last 4 polls that have come out has shown either Tallarico tied or ahead of Paxton. And so we're seeing a trend here when it comes to voters. We're seeing a trend when it comes to people who are being polled in Texas. And I think a lot of it has to do with people want change, but also younger candidates. When we're looking at younger candidates, you tend to have people 50 and under wanting to vote for those younger candidates. Just think about the older politicians that are out there. They're not well liked. I mean, Chuck Schumer is not well liked in the Democratic Party. And McConnell for years hasn't been liked. And now, I mean, and we don't even know what's going on with his situation, but I'm just saying the older politicians, the older leadership, we're now starting to see a shift. We're seeing younger voters calling for younger candidates, and that's energizing these younger voters to get out and vote. But so we have Texas, we have Alaska, you have Peltola, she's a younger candidate. We look at Iowa, you have Tarek, he's another younger candidate. So I'm just looking at some of the states. Now, of course, North Carolina, an older Democrat is running there. When it comes to Troy Jackson, he's in his 50s, but he's a little bit older. But I still think Troy Jackson does appeal to the younger voters, just like Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders is older, but he appeals to young voters. But the main takeaway here is you have younger voters. If younger voters are shifting, that could be a really good sign for Democrats. Now, I do have to say, younger voters don't vote at the same rate that older voters do. So we'll have to see if these young voters, they're energized now, will they get out and vote in November? So I want to know what you guys think about all this. Let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more. And remember, stay informed, stay engaged, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye. So that's all we have for this video. Make sure if you guys want to send me an email, you can do that, david@thetecshow.com. Like the video, subscribe for more, and check out these videos over here for some more great content. Talk to you later. Bye.